Fill her up.
You're listening to the Gas Digital Network.
Yeah, I know. Because I can't get right. This is cutthroat. This burns as words pop from a snub nose. This Kurt Metzger and not give a fuck mode. Because I can't get right. Because I can't get right. Yeah. You're listening to Can't Get Right.
Hey, this is Can't Get Right with me, Kurt Metzger. And I got a very special guest. I would call him America's sweetheart, but he doesn't live here. He's in Romania. Usually I introduce people as America's sweetheart, but I don't see any reason he can't be. I found him on a YouTube channel. Well, I need to set, Mike, I need to show this image because it's funny. I'd seen this a while, like, this is Vee, by the way, from Raina's channel, Romanian TVee. Is that the correct name of it?
Yes.
And I was watching because you talk about, you kind of talk about a lot of like, kind of, you know, it's in English, and you're talking about stuff like my friend Gary, Neurotic, does a lot, you know, or just like ridiculous things you see. Like, are you, this is like because you're near the UK or because of America?
No, it's, I talk about anything that makes people laugh, and my channel is more liberty and freedom oriented. It always has been. So anything about censorship, anything about authoritarianism, things that I find it absolutely hilarious that it's being promoted now. I just talk about them, and the purpose is to make people laugh and have a good time. So
is your audience like, is it people in Romania watch you too, or just like, I'm seeing, like, that's not, I'm, you know, I'm from here, so I don't really speak any languages well, like in that book. But is that common that everybody speaks English in Romania, or is that like you got to be a little more educated, or people? I don't know anything about Romania, to be honest.
Well, almost everyone speaks English here, because while we were under communism, we looked towards America as a bastion of freedom. So when communism fell, a lot of people started promoting American culture, like movies for the first time got past the Iron Curtain, and music. And everyone started learning English as a hobby in order to be able to understand American entertainment. So yeah, now almost everyone speaks English. I mean, even beggars on the street, you can have an English conversation with them. And it's quite common in Eastern Europe, not just in Romania.
It's very interesting. That's interesting to do, everybody picking up as a hobby. So communism, that's Ceausescu, is that how you say his name? Ceausescu?
Yes, Ceausescu was the dictator. And his wife, Ileana, she played also a very important role.
And then and I remember when I read about it when I was a kid. I still remember this. I was getting my hair cut and reading some magazine as a kid, and it was all about that, and it was all like this crazy shit about this guy, but like, I don't know, like he'd like, I don't know if this is even true, but you tell me, but he would have kids like kidnapped from their parents and like raise them as like Sardaukar Dune special force soldiers for himself, you know, like they thought he was their dad. Sounds like Black Widow or something.
So I haven't heard about that. It's probably an exaggerated myth, but there was a woman who worked in Secret Service, and there was this African king which came into Romania as a visit, and the dear leader wanted to make a trade between the country of the king and his. So because the king actually fell in love with the Secret Service woman, the dear leader actually sold her off as his wife.
Wow.
That's in the press, yeah.
Wow. Was he called the dear leader? That's not just a Korean thing? Is that thing like in a bunch of like...
No, almost in every communist country that I know used to call them the dear leader. The most beloved, the most beloved of the people.
So is comrade meant to be like an international... I know that like the whole thing is it should be all the same, you know, communist, whatever. And is comrade supposed to be like a universal word? Like, because I hear people say comrade here, and I'm like, that sounds very odd.
Yeah, it's a gender abolitionist. They're not like the communists aren't the first that tried to abolish gender. The first were the French revolutionaries. They used the citizen. And if you actually called someone madame or monsieur, you could get guillotined for being anti-revolutionary. Then the communists used it, and they also used tovarish. Tovarish is Russian for friend. And you're supposed to use it to abolish the concept of Mr. and Mrs. We're all tovarish. We're all equal.
Right.
Yeah. Wow. The same with comrade. Yeah.
Also, your wife. Oh wow, that's some. Also, your like wife's our wife, and your kids are our kid.
Yeah, there was this offshoot of communism, this ideology where they wanted to separate the children from the parents. Not well, obviously the wives would belong to to whomever they chose to marry, but the children belong to the state. So that they would be raised while the parents were at work laboring. The children would be raised by the government, by the state, so that they're good communists.
That was an old MSNBC commercial that people got up in arms about Melissa Harris Perry. She got like, I think they fired her for like Joanne Reed or something, but she made this commercial of like, we need to stop thinking of something like our kids as ours and think of them as everybody's kids. And I was like, first of all, I don't want kids, so that's not my, what are you talking about? And people are like, what the fuck? And that's what that shit is. That's some like weird, that's all like me. I didn't know about any of this stuff. I went and read, I never read that Capital book. I can't, but
Das Kapital, yeah.
But I went and read, I tried to like read what the guy said, because I'm used to that thing of like someone telling you here's what you should think about it in advance, and I actually don't bother with it. But I'm curious. And then there's all kinds of things. You mentioned something before that I don't think people are even a little bit aware of here, where like he was pro-gun.
Karl Marx, yeah, he was pro-gun.
And wait, what was the quote though? It was like he said every worker should have a gun. Is that what I'm saying?
No. Under no circumstance should the workers be disarmed.
That's what it was.
Yeah. Workers should, I can look it up on Google if you want. Like, just go Karl Marx anti-gun and you'll find the quote. Like, he basically says that this must be resisted under any circumstance, that the workers should never be disarmed.
So and then when I read it, what I was like, I don't know, like my ultimate, like I guess critique of it was like, it sounds like probably all kinds of actual accurate, there's a lot of like criticism that I'm like, oh, okay, I see what you're saying with that. And then, it's just not really a plan that it's a lot of like, we'll be greeted as liberators talk, like we went to Iraq. It's going to work out great. And nothing's like the details are where all the shit happens. Like you can have whatever. I don't believe in any fucking system because that's all the vague part. Like what happens? Like what are the details once you start doing it? And then you find out, you live in LA and it's fucking Calcutta here because they were going to do all kinds of progressive shit. And now it's just people with like drug problems. You can't even imagine. Like I'm from New York, dude. And I never saw anything like this before. I mean, New York's colder too, by the way. But all the thought of how to handle everything here is coming straight from San Francisco. That's where Berkeley is. That's where all the, Gavin Newsom, the governors, the former mayor. And I knew he sucked because when I would go to San Francisco, they'd all talk about how he sucks and now there's more homeless than ever. And then he comes here before I moved here and they just suck at their job. The weed business is going out. It can barely stay afloat because somehow they cocked that up, a thing that you would think would be, luckily the illegal market has come back stronger than it was. I didn't know this. I've been paying for it like an asshole legally because I don't have any contacts in LA to get illegal weed, but that's crazy to cock things up. So, and legal weed's a good idea to me because one, I smoke a lot of it. It's just with the detail, like how are you going to implement this? And everybody's like programmed to have like an ideology, and then like, okay, we lived happily ever after. And then you're like, this isn't working. Like, I said we lived happily ever after, sir. Also, this picture for V up, I want to tell, because Mike, you didn't know who this was, right?
No, I was not. I said it looked like, I think I said Resident Evil.
Oh, you put it up in the chats, V. All right. Under no pretext should arms and ammunition be surrendered. Boy, he even mentioned the ammunition.
Yeah, of course.
Any attempt to disarm the workers must be frustrated by force if necessary. Oh, that's why I was thinking the workers should be armed, is because that language.
He was against immigrants as well, and he was also pro-slavery. I mean, Karl Marx is a very based and red pill dude, but people don't read his work. They just give lip service.
Well, the thing is, against immigrants, I don't think people. That's another one. I hear when people talk about it, they don't mention the difference between immigrant and illegal immigrant, which is a difference.
Yeah.
Because people that have to jump through the hoops you got to jump through, which are quite a few. I mean, I sympathize with them. I would be a little annoyed if somebody just fucking, I'm like, oh, can I just fucking snug in? It's all good. So that's like kind of a fuck you and to people that do what you told them they're supposed to do.
Yeah, I think even the right wing is not against legal migrants. I mean, even
they're both 100% because it's that we've had this like, I don't know when Neo started popping up in front of everything, but around when that started, that's when the idea was, this is great because then we're competitive in the labor market. And that means they don't have to compete to pay you. You have to compete for slave wages.
Yeah, this is what Karl Marx says. He says that, in his time, you didn't have like immigration from one country to another. That was very rare. But he noticed how the people from Ireland were moving into England and they were depressing the wages of the English workers. And he called that out. He basically said that that is not something that the English worker benefits from. It's what the factory owners benefit from.
Did you know this stuff? You have like a couple degrees or something, right? Or aren't you like a...
Well, I finished law school and med school, and now I'm a YouTuber. So,
right, but is this stuff... because I imagine... Well, was it already over when you were a kid in Romania?
Yeah, so I think I was around 3 years old when the regime fell, but the effects, they don't just go overnight. I mean, even for the next 10 years... Plus, like my parents would constantly talk about how it was under communism and all of the horrors and the oppression they lived through. So,
is it now? You know how like in Russia, there are people that are like it was better. Like, how much of it is where there's people that are like conditioned to how it was, and they're like, you know, because this is why I ask. I was in taking a cab in New York, and like in New York before your Uber and all that, like you get a cab. Yellow cab service sucked generally, but sometimes like 1 in 9, I would say, I would talk to some interesting person that was like, so this guy was from Romania, and by the way, the drivers there, all of them, the thing they would complain about from whatever country was that our traffic laws, like that we have them. So like one guy was from Pakistan or India, he goes, we don't have these kind of laws. I'm like, what do you do if you get in a crash? He goes, we fight.
Oh my God.
And then so the one guy's Romanian, and he was saying how it sucked. And I was like, and I knew who Ceausescu was. I'm like, what was it like in, he said it was like better in Romania or something. And I go like in Ceausescu, goes, yeah, Ceausescu was better. I was like, really? I'm like, so I wonder what pissed him off so much that that's better. And is that like a thing of you get used to like if everything collapsed tomorrow here and they're like, guess what? We're starting a fucking Marxist utopia, everyone. I'm sure I would be like, I'm not into this because I'm just adapted to this. However, you know, like when people are about free speech, I don't really give a shit what the morals are of it. Like that's just what I have to have. I don't need to justify it to anyone. Like I'm like very attuned to that. I get that. And there's not like any programming at this point in my life is going to make me go, well, I guess I shouldn't be able to speak freely, you know? Mm-hmm. Like are there people like that there where they're like, they kind of miss Ceausescu? I mean, it'd be old, I know, but.
So I don't think there is a correct way of doing politics. I think every person has a different set of values. And if you're the type of person that likes freedom and you're capable of taking care of yourself, you're going to despise any type of authoritarian regime. But if you're a person that wants safety, you know, you want the government to keep you safe, to give you security, to think for you, to tell you what is good and what isn't, so you don't have to take decisions that you then have to take responsibility for, then yeah, you might like a regime like Ceausescu's, or even that there are still people in Germany who tell that their parents used to love the regime of the Nazis.
Is that like a thing? Is there like any sizable group of people that are like, we miss the way it was before? Like you hear about in Russia a lot because, you know, I guess it was pretty fucked up how it was for them after it fell. Is there anything like that there?
Yeah. I mean, you gave me an example with a doctor who managed to help the birth of some inner party member, and because of that, he got favors. There were a lot of people like that, and if you actually had connections and you knew the correct people and you greased the wheels, I mean, the regime was really good with you. Especially, so you didn't need to have necessary talent or skills. I mean, just by ratting you on your neighbor and informing the authorities of what you see at work, that could give you a lot of perks and benefits, which place you above the other citizen. It makes you feel morally superior.
And
it's kind of like
how Amazon warehouse works.
Yeah, it's kind of like a diversity officer in the United States. I mean, they don't really do that much compared to a normal worker who works like 10 or 11 hours.
That's a crazy thing. That's what's so unfortunate is there's a whole consulting business that sprung up around this fucking nonsense. And half the people I see, I'm like, I don't even think you know what what you think. Like you saw Whoopi got in trouble for saying the Holocaust is white on white crime, basically.
Yeah.
And I mean, she didn't get in that much trouble, but the thing that I find hilarious is she's just saying the thing you're supposed to say now. And all these fucking people they're not like, no, CRT. I had somebody tell me that there's a history channel I like. I had the guy on and he just doesn't like Republicans. So like I knew critical race theory was horseshit from like 12 years ago because I started hearing crazy things from people. So it used to be on Wiki. By the way, this is what's creepy to me. Back when I looked it up, it's not like I did like scholarly research. I went to fucking Wikipedia first. They told you everything about it on Wikipedia at the time. They explained it was a Marxist lens. All that got taken off. Okay, that all got removed, so that people go, no, there's nothing. It's not like that. And by the way, when somebody says that, they don't give a shit what it was or not. They're like, we're like emotionally programmed here. Everything is your emotion, so you're supposed to just feel, and that's why that trucker thing is so dangerous, because they're not burning anything down. They're just peaceful, and they have a stated goal that you can understand, and you don't need them to explain what it means to them. You know, like,
well, it's actually two big problems. One of the worst strikes that nations can face is a trucker strike.
Yeah, it's power.
It's not only that. I mean, they're like the red blood cells of a country. Without truckers, you don't have oxygen. So everything that's on your desk right now, a trucker delivered it. So wait until 1 or 2 weeks that the stores run out of supplies, and you're going to start seeing empty shelves in Canada, and you're going to start seeing the actual effects of a trucker strike. So because trucker strikes are so damaging, usually leaders don't try to antagonize truckers. So when I saw Justin Trudeau antagonizing them, I was like, wow, that is stunning and brave. Like, I wonder how that's going to turn out.
Well, he couldn't deal with somebody. All this bullshit, by the way, was about these passports. They want these digital fucking passports. Yes. So that's why, like, you should be like, anybody should be like, thank you, truckers, because they're like somewhat slowing the fucking nightmare that everything's headed to with technology.
The papers, please, yeah.
The only ones, like, not the people that know about it are like, no, this is good because everyone's stupid, and the stupid people have to be controlled. What do you think? They should just have conversations? And then, and so, like, when that chip thing came out in Sweden, you know, they're putting chips in their hands at chipping parties, and the guy showing how great these chips, look at this tech, and he's like, he goes to the soda machine at work and puts his hand up. I mean, you can get a soda.
Yeah, I saw the commercial, yeah. The conspiracy theory, sorry. 5 months ago, conspiracy theory, now actual commercial on TV.
Yeah, I'm not even like extra on guard with shit. Like, I got Face ID on my phone because I don't want to goddamn type in all these 6 numbers every time. It's an easy thing to fall for. I'm sure it did something that is harming me or society by doing a face thing. I'm sure it did. The chip thing is crazy, though. That's like, anyway. So they're the only ones doing that. They're not breaking anything, and that's why you see the real like demonization of them, because BLM, or whatever, January 6th.
Several $1 trillion worth of damage. Most damage done in U.S. history, I think.
Oh, that's okay. They got insurance, the big companies, and they can buy up the destroyed businesses of the smaller companies, and they could just own everything. So that's why they're cool with it. Okay. And the government, if you're out there breaking shit, you're doing it's like controlled burns or something to prevent
controlled burns. Oh my God, that's such a nice way of putting it.
But that's what they're doing. That's why Q is all that bullshit. That's like they're like honey traps. Like, that's what we've been doing with the war on terror. We find the craziest people. They catch some unscrupulous Arab who's not even that Muslim, who's doing some other crime, and they go, well, you know Muslim, so you go in those mosques and you find out who's the whatever, and we'll give you money.
Who's the most crazy, yeah.
Then he fucking pays that. There's poor, stupid, or crazy people, most of them, And I remember seeing this too at the time. I remember watching the news report when they caught the guys in the Miami 7 or whatever they were. It was some like weird black, like not even Muslim. They're like, you know, not even Nation of Islam level of Islam amount. It's just some crazy people.
Yeah.
And they sent this guy who drew up the plans. The plans were something crazy, like they were going to ride horses in. The guy who made Brass Eye in the UK, Chris Morris, he made a movie about it. And then they arrest him. They drop the plans. And the guy's like, okay, we're going to do it. And then they go, look we got the terrorists. And I remember Bill Maher making jokes about like, these aren't like the first string of terror. Yeah, they're not. These are just lunatics. And then while they were doing that, the Boston Marathon bombing happened, and people were warning them about those guys. Nobody was handling it because everything that everybody does is for funding. And
yeah, but that actually requires work. I mean, catching actual bad guys requires work.
Well, also, sometimes you don't catch the bad guy, and then what are you going to put on the paper and justify your budget next year? Because you got to
that's a good point, yeah.
If you don't, I learned this from playing DC and talking to like young DC people were not hipsters. They were creepy. They were like House of Cards larvae, I always call them. They were like working for someone, and they were in their 20s learning shit that I just learned, you know, about, oh, this is how the fucking shit works. And it's amazing seeing how like dead, like one guy had quit working for something and was now working for an arms dealer. And he said it was more ethical than the thing he was doing, which was disposing of mercury thermometers in hospitals. It was a good program that we needed, but something got invented that hospitals use now that they can it's better and cheaper to do it on site. So end of program, right? No, we won't get the money next year, but you don't need it because you're not, nope. It just keeps going on. So it just, I don't know how long, but he got so like repulsed by it, he quit and works in the defense industry. That's how gross the thing that is the good industry is. So that's all the fucking thing. And that's, people are mad at cops in general. I mean, look, I've had shitty customer service with Verizon a lot, you know, now they can't shoot me, the Verizon outsource labor. But that's why the cops are the lowest street level customer service people. Like, I would see all these people I know that I left that are like, yeah, what, to defund the police. I'm like, okay, then what? Is that what? So
Psychologists. Yeah. So when the father comes home drunk and, you know, gets into domestic violence with his wife and then gets the daughter in the room and starts whipping her ass as well. And people call the cops, they're going to have a psychologist that's going to come at the door and have a responsible conversation. And I'm pretty sure that's going to work.
Yeah, no, it won't. And so the academic lunatics who came up with that know that that's the idea.
Yeah,
they want it to be. But also, they're not really academics, like especially in shit like that, like fucking neo-Marx, like they're fucking useless. All they end up doing is being consultants. Like corporate consult, that's all they did was create a thing where they got rich because it's so easy to co-opt them because they're dumb. Meanwhile, the real people that are, you know, whoever the 150 or so, I can't remember that investor, he's like 150 people kind of run everything. They understand. That's why they start saying sustainable capitalism, because it's going to be, well, now that this isn't sustainable. I mean, we're so rich. Other people can't live like we do, obviously. You guys all got to reduce your carbon footprint. And so that's the program. And so people are arguing about, like, we don't have fucking capitalism. I don't think people know that.
No, but like America officially is not a capitalist country. It's a mixed economy.
Well, okay, let me explain what I say by that. You don't like have to make a profit now. The people that have the most money have so much fucking money that everything's venture capital. So this channel, Lewis's, and my friend, who's the one from Romania, he's the one who told me about this. He's like, my only competition maybe is Lewis's channel on the East Coast, because all the other podcast channels don't have to make a profit. They get venture capital. And that's when all that tech shit started up. Now they have to, some of them have to cook the books to fake that, because they'll accidentally make a profit sometimes. And it'll fuck up their investment. It's fucking wild.
Did you look into ESG scores?
Yeah, that's why. So anyway, because I was supposed to talk about this picture of Mike. Mike goes, I asked Mike if he knew who it was. I go, yeah. And I go, so this chick they made in the Last of Us game. And he goes, oh, that's a girl. Mike thought it was just a real, like a buff Conan O'Brien as a boy.
Yeah. Above Justin Bieber.
Yeah, so that ESG thing is one of the worst fucking things that's ever happened, and it's not a conspiracy. It's a thing they've been talking about openly. I just didn't follow anything like that ever.
No, it's public. And there's also Catholic ESG. It's not just
What's
like
Catholic?
normal business. So Catholic ESG uses ESG on Catholic values, but if you look at it, it intersects perfectly with the woke values. They just have like different rationale.
Oh, they did that with the Baptists too.
Did they?
The what, I don't know, the Southern Baptist Convention. They did like a weird. I don't know how Dippy Baptists do their thing, but they did a. They voted on the things that are going to incorporate and whatever and they saved the CRT shit for the last. Like they saved it to the end so they couldn't talk about it.
Yeah, they're very conniving.
So, yeah, but when I like, who's they? There's a whole There's a whole class of consultants. It's like I go,
the people pushing CRT. I meant, yeah.
Yeah, people say, like, oh, the neo-Marxists. Yeah, maybe, but they really ain't so neo-Marxists. What they are getting rich off this fucking bullshit corporate consulting, and Southern Baptist, and I guess Catholics to a degree. They have a political, like, that's why these black churches vote forever. That was a voting block since way back. That's the only place, you were allowed to go. You're like, well, they can go to church. That was like, so that's how that developed that way. And that's why you'd even have weird votes. Like where I grew up, my religion, we didn't have that shit. It was like a honest to God cult that had to
honest to God cult. Yeah, you can say this unironically.
So I wonder about this Last of Us 2 thing, because I always thought the first story I remember because my girlfriend sat and would just watch it at the time, and it was like best story I ever saw in a fucking game. Like where I was like, wow, like at the end I was like, wow, that was a cool fucking story. There's probably others that are like good, but I just didn't finish them. Like I finished it and I was like, that's amazing. So this guy got a big fucking head apparently, and he Neil Druckmann. Yeah, and so he made the story of Last of Us 2, and it's the most. You could just see the arrogance dripping out of him after he wrote this thing that was pretty awesome, I think. Mm-hmm. Because he's like, okay, so now I've seen this process happen many, many times from over the years working in various parts of show business. They're like, now I'm important. It's time. I have a platform. What am I going to do with it? I'm not going to do the thing that everybody likes that got me here. Now it's time for me to blather my whatever. So he's like, okay, it's going to be a female, and she's going to be as strong as a dude. I think the girl they got doesn't look like this either, right?
No. They changed her. Like the actress actually looks normal, and she's actually pretty. And they made her androgynous.
The bodybuilder also, or whoever the woman was, she was also more attractive than this. I believe also. Yes. I could be wrong.
Yes.
So they artificially ugged up this chick. Now, okay,
it's a tactic in the gaming industry right now.
But you could make that interesting, okay? Let's say you got that could be interesting. But so then, right at the opening of the game, she kills the lead protagonist. Everybody's like, "Whatever happened with the guy?" She kills him with a golf club for revenge. I don't even understand the fucking revenge. Like, and I heard people. Who's the guy? Jim Sterling. He was saying about like.
Oh,
he didn't like the game.
I think he transitioned. Now it's Stephanie Sterling.
Oh right, at the time though it was Jim. Right.
Yes.
But his review of the game actually I thought was pretty good, except he's just saying like Joel was a bad guy. He wasn't the good guy. He was bad. And at the end of that game, I didn't come away thinking Joel was the bad guy. And it's very weird. I think you got to be kind of lefty to, unfortunately, to be.
I mean,
why would he be the bad guy?
He actually says that he did bad things and he robbed people and he did what was needed to survive. So I guess
thought because he saved the.
No. It like saving the girl actually makes him a good guy. Like it's a redemption arc.
Okay. Well, maybe it wasn't Stephanie that said this part then, but I maybe have seen other people saying it and combined it.
Probably.
The thing where he kills them because they're gonna get the cure out of her brain for mushroom head zombies.
Yeah.
And they basically dick him over and don't pay him what they were supposed to pay him.
Yeah.
And he comes out and kills him and takes the girl out of there. And I was like, yeah, I don't think he's bad. People were saying he's bad for that. I saw.
I mean, there is the argument to be made, right? Like one life versus the life of the entire planet.
That's right. But why should I trust that they have the thing that's going to do anything just because?
Yeah, exactly. Like,
so?
like why would they distribute the cure to everyone? But okay, that's not.
How do I know they have it? How do I know? Once you've fucked with me and cheated me, and I know you're dishonest, you're just going to kill my adopted daughter, my adopted lesbian daughter that I just saved.
The lesbian brother,
okay?
Yeah.
And what you just said is right. Like, I already know about the handing out the cure. They just beat the shit out of me and took all my shit, so I'll die in the wilderness. Like, no, I'm not the bad guy. I think maybe I don't trust the authority of the Firefly. I'm getting real emotional about it. It's a good.
Yeah, exactly. No, you have a good point. Yeah, but what's even worse, okay, like what you just said is half of it. What happens behind the scenes is that the woman who made the first game is made by a woman by the name of Amy Hennig. Now, Amy Hennig, in the video gaming world, she's very respected. She made some amazing games. I mean, these are games that everyone knows.
Does she write for them?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And every single gamer likes her. And she went to some reporters and they were like, "Oh, aren't gamers sexist?" And she's like, "No, I never found that. Like, every man in the industry was nice to me and I never had any problem with sexism, blah, blah, blah." So they started hating her. And Neil Druckmann, rumors is that he actually made her leave the company and took her place. And this is a big feminist who wants
so did
women
she write? Did she write the story? It wasn't him.
Yes. No. The first game is wrote by Amy Hennig. I mean, you can look her up. She's
he didn't write the first fucking game.
He did not write the first game.
Get the fuck out of here. Well, no wonder it sucked what he made.
Yeah.
Wow. Dude, I did not know that. I thought he wrote because they say he wrote the game.
Yeah. He didn't. And look at the works. I mean, every single gamer knows about Soul Reaver. Some of these titles, they're just classics. I mean, it's like Beethoven for gamers.
Wow. Yeah. The story to Michael Jordan cast in the Windy City was awesome.
He ran her out of the industry.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's how that works. Wow. I did not know she wrote that. That is astonishing. So that's why it wasn't fucking unbelievable. You could see the different, like, I thought he just like, oh, he used to be good. He's just another one of these dickheads that inserted his name. That's unbelievable. So
I need to fact check myself. I don't know if she wrote the first one. Like, it might be someone else, but definitely it's not him who wrote the first one.
He maybe contributed in some way. I've written on a bunch of shit. I get how that goes. But so this story is, so she kills Joel because Joel killed her father, who now is black. He was white, I believe.
Yeah. They woke washed him. Yeah. In the sequel, like he was white in the beginning, and then they made him black in the sequel to make him more. They just kept
turning the tan thing on him, and then and so Joel killed him to rescue Ellie. And so this chick, by the way, interestingly enough, not lesbian. There's a doggy sex scene in the game.
Oh my God, don't remind me of that.
But so she finds out who he is. She's heard his name. It's just poorly written. And then she kills him, and then it's a revenge thing. It could have been you could have just, okay, you want to make this the character? Okay. Well, how I would have done it was made it how Conan, the John Milius one starts, where like I'd have it where, because of maybe what Joel did, killing the guy, she got grabbed by some fucking, I don't know, raiders or something, and then she eventually got beefy, like turning some form of turning the wheel, like they show Conan.
Yeah, like Conan the Barbarian.
Yeah, you show her as a little kid, okay, not looking like a fucking man first, like a little girl taken, because she's not gay. So this is like there's an interesting story that a straight woman would become like this, that you could tell, that would make you sympathize with the journey of it, and it'd be fucking interesting,
Yeah.
And then as we get to sympathize with this person, we're like, I didn't want to see some beefy fucking bitch on the thing, but you're like, oh, that's, people like that in your life where you didn't want to sympathize, and their story's compelling. Then you find out she's trying to kill Joel, and then does it, and then that's a good fuck. Like, you're like, oh shit. But this asshole, he wasn't into telling a story. He was into like, yeah,
exactly.
It's like, that's the biggest hack move, to just thinly, like, just a little bit, put a little razzmatazz on your fucking thing, In fact, if your goal is that, you should be making a compelling story for the character, other than she's really beefy and strong. That's all you need to know.
So my chat actually told me Amy Hennig did write the first part. Druckmann wrote the DLC, which makes the little girl into a lesbian. Like that.
So
that is what he wrote.
That is fucking amazing, dude. I did not know that this whole time. I know, by the way, dozens of stories like this and other things where it's like some guy.
They don't report it. They don't report it on these things, right? I mean, the press is all like, oh, look how progressive Neil Druckmann is. Oh, he wants women in positions of power. It's like, then why did he took the place of one of the most respected women in the video gaming industry?
Well, because none of it's about that. And nobody, unfortunately, people don't realize that until the shit happens to them, you know? I don't know. I'm sure Amy Hennig probably realized it the whole time. It sounds like a nightmare working there, but
she wasn't a feminist. She probably didn't even know about the ideology. She just wanted to write good games.
It sounds like she's just good at what she does. I have a friend that's a writer for games. I can't remember her name. I haven't talked to her in a long time, but she was telling me all about how it works because I was thinking of trying to maybe get into it, but it's a really pain in the ass to write. This is more of a game where it's probably easier to write because it's narrative but like if you had to write like Fallout or something, that's a fucking nightmare. And the people who do it, she told me, they're these guys that are like Aspergery fucking nerds, and they've never have them have, you know, like, so they don't really, that's why the characters seem kind of stupid in a lot of
that's why the character, it's not that they seem stupid, they're all suffering from some mental issues. Like they're not talking like human beings talk.
Well, that's what I mean. That's why I mean stupid writing, but like, yes, I you have to understand I'm also stupid, but I was, but yes, it's like someone that doesn't know how to communicate with humans normally.
Exactly.
So everything rings false. It all rings like how you imagined it was going to go when you said something, but you've never actually said anything to anyone. Like that kind of feel to it, you know? Like there's nothing organic. That's what Last of Us, the first one, struck me, how like it like grabbed you in emotionally and like got you into and made you forget that it handled kind of shitty, the gameplay. And I liked every part of it. Like I was like, oh, cool, it's violent and whatever.
Yeah, but it's not just Last of Us. I mean, look at Hollywood, right? There is no more originality. There's not a single original movie coming out. Everything is a sequel. I mean, okay, tell me the name of an original movie which came out in the last 2 years. That's not a sequel, a prequel, or a reimagining.
Oh, I don't know. I haven't followed enough.
You can't. I'll tell you. You can.
Well, because I remember this is more than 3 years, I guess. That one that Joaquin Phoenix was in before Joker. What? Hello?
Sorry about that. I think I lost the connection for a couple of seconds.
Vee's in Romania, everyone.
It's the third best internet in the world, by the way, as internet speed. Yeah.
Did you see You Were Never Here or You Were Never There? I think it's called, with Joaquin Phoenix.
No.
Oh, it's pretty awesome, dude. It's. I think that's why they thought of him for Joker. He's like some guy. He's some like crazy ex veteran that now works recovering stolen, kidnapped kids, and he just like buys a hammer and like goes these places and like.
Man, that sounds like such a cool plot.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's an awesome movie. He's awesome in it. Like, and when I saw it, I was like, and they were doing Joker, I was like, oh, I get it. Like, he's got like the kind of pointy, kind of face features, and then he plays a really good, and he's like a great, he's great in it. It's.
When
awesome
was this
movie.
made? In what year?
It's more than 3 years ago, I bet now.
Oh, okay.
Probably 4 or 5 years ago. But I've been watching just like YouTubes for a long time. I had cable and I canceled it. Like there's nothing that I want to watch. It's all. The bottom line is that it's all elevator music and it's all corporate.
Yeah.
Gremlins Part 2 warned us this would happen. Corporate approved art, and that's why this is why I thought to ask you to come on. Will you put up that picture, Mike? Guys, let's take a break to talk about rockauto.com. That's part of my deal. I make the jingles and sing them for our sponsors because that's how much we appreciate our fine sponsors here. And one of the finest, I would say by far, is rockauto.com. I don't know if you fix cars or you need car parts or, if you're mechanically inclined and you'd like to not have the hassle of going to a store and, dealing with all the... Look, if you're trying to get away from your family for a little bit, I get it. I'm not even trying to get it. Some people, hey, maybe I don't want to have convenient ordering at home. I hate my home. I hate my life. My wife is a broken car, basically, is how I live now. So You're not going to take that away from me, that I go in the store and spend hours looking for things and they don't have it. They'll be like, sorry, we don't have it. We could maybe get it from another store, but it might take a couple of hours. And you go, oh, that's fine. I'll wait. Because I would do anything not to go home to my fat pig wife right now. If that's you, you could ignore this. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking about if you want convenience at an excellent price at rockauto.com. I don't even have promo codes because their prices are low. Because they cut out the middleman bullshit of having to take long trips to be away from your family for 5 goddamn minutes. So if you're a car guy, right now go to rockauto.com and check out all the parts available for your car. You're just going to have so much fun looking at car parts. Maybe put on headphones, drown your family out. Why not that? Why not, if you are that guy, why don't you give it a shot too? Just put on some noise canceling headphones and some music and just look at some auto parts and pretend you never made that mistake in your life. rockauto.com. Because I remember seeing this briefly, and then your video came on my feed, and you were like, can anyone tell me what this fucking is? So it says, what is solo poly? Solo polyamory is a type of polyamorous configuration. Mike, are you following? This is for you.
Listen, you bigot.
Are you there, Mike?
Yeah.
Okay. Solo polyamory is a type of polyamorous configuration. Got it? Solo poly people tend to see themselves as their own primary. Oh man, I've been my own primary for months at a time. They usually have multiple separate or intertwined polyamorous dynamics. They are committed to their polyamorous relationships. They don't depend on the relationship escalator to express their commitment. And then, to illustrate, as you can see, Mike, there's a woman, I'm assuming Muslim of color, and she has a hook hand for a peg leg. Now, can you solve the riddle, Mike?
And it's corpo art, like the art you see in corporations.
What's that? There's a style. It's a name for that fucking style.
I don't know, but it's like big hands, small head. Sometimes the color of the skin isn't natural, like blue or purple. And it's the type of art that you will never stop to admire, and it's like, oh, what does this piece of art tell me? Like, you're never going to do that.
Well, the thing is, this one I did.
You did, yes. That is correct.
Because when you look at it, you're like, this is almost like, it's so bizarre that it's like art. Like I thought it was like some kind of like artist or something, and it is a graphic artist. She's in Hawaii, and she's like, I don't know. Mike, have you ever seen anything like this? Do you have any idea what it's saying?
No, I don't even know where the hook leg comes into play.
Yeah, they don't bring up what the hook leg is all about.
I just trying to show diversity.
I think that this is a general. I mean, that is very diverse. If you wanted to be so diverse as fuck. Oh, by the way, my hand identifies as a leg.
Okay, the hook for a leg, I looked it up. My chat corrected me. Look, this is what happens when you actually have a chat and you don't give your comment section disabilities like CNN.
Is that the fucking Olympic runner kind of robot legs?
Yes.
It's just drawn like a hook.
Yes. But they're backwards. Like they're supposed to have the hook orientation is supposed to go in front, not in back. So.
Oh, so she's just a.
She
was probably blown up. She was blown up in Afghanistan, but she came from a wealthier family that could afford high tech.
Yes, Obama legs. Drone strike. Yeah.
Holy shit.
But what it actually says, because I actually had to think about, I only went through med and law school. I can't really comprehend this level of progressive ideology.
This is like legalese, yeah.
Yeah. So they're talking about people who have multiple personality disorders. Like you think you have like 5 or 6 people that you are, and you're in love with yourself. No, unironically, right? So you're in love with another personality. But it's not you, because what is you, right? Like which personality are you? So that's the primary, and you're in love with. It's kind of like in Fight Club. I know it blows your mind. It's kind of like in Fight Club, where the main character, it's like if he was in love with the other guy, that would have been like a polyamorous configuration.
Well, I mean, if you read the subtext, he kind of was.
Oh my God.
I still don't understand the hook leg
No, it's not a hook leg. It's
or the runner's leg, but still, why? Does one of her personalities run?
so what? Wait, is one of her personalities a one-legged Muslim woman? Is that what?
I don't know. Like, why would we assume? We would be bigots if we assume.
Well, here's what I assume from this I'm going to tell you all my assumptions because I was like fascinated when it popped up on my thing, and I'm like, oh, this is like a challenge to figure out what this is. But so I just looked up Marjani Lane, whatever. She's a graphic designer, probably wealthy, my guess, because that is you get work in corporate places to learn this awful style is like you're going places, you know, and it's and probably makes a lot of money to live in Hawaii. Now this is so crazy, and when you say split personalities, that's like a flavor, a new like flavor of the rich people month thing, like having Tourette's tics now is pretty cool from TikTok. That's like she's in Hawaii doing like corporate art stuff. She probably makes some money and has time for like Hawaii is like, if you think Goop is kind of fruity, like you got to see Kauai. It's unbelievable. It's like by the way, beautiful. Kauai is beautiful.
For the people.
But, yeah, like you can't eat a piece of fruit without worshiping it as a god first.
Really?
That's what it tells that. Yeah, it's a joke it tell me. But yes, I told a joke. I was at a wedding, my cousin's wedding too, and I actually talked myself out of getting laid at this wedding because this comic Rosamund Eve had this joke that used to make me laugh. This chick was talking about she swims with like dolphins or something, you know, and I go, yeah, my buddy has a joke about that, about like, you know, that he had this joke, like, you know, that blowhole in the back of their head. He goes, hey guys, don't fuck that hole. They breathe out of that, okay? But if you do, hold on, okay? And she had like her arm around her. She pulled her arm off me like I was like I went up 200 degrees and burned her. Like that's how. Like,
you became radioactive. You are toxic. Yes.
Yeah, and like I don't know. That just makes me laugh. A joke like that. So, and I kind of am like, I don't want to. It's probably for the best because it's probably, you know, I mean, it's a wedding, so I probably wouldn't have had long-term damage from hooking up with somebody that, you know.
Yeah.
But they're like that. That's how they are. It's way beyond anything. It's like where like Williamsburg in Brooklyn. There's a bunch of like rich kids.
It's like blaspheming in the church.
Yeah, right. Williamsburg had all the hipsters, you know, and a lot of them were just like the property values went up pretty quick because, you know, it's like rich kids live there to bum around, kind of, and that was their version of bumming around Williamsburg. And then, but if that's just like kind of upper middle class to kind of rich. That's not like, you know. Then here there's like Beverly Hills. If you're like from like real like money and shit, they fuck off to Hawaii, and there's all kinds of like. I met some guy whose dad was a composer for all these Hollywood movies. He was like in like the golden age of Hollywood and must have made a shit ton of money. And this guy lived. I was trying to find weed. I'm out there with my family. I don't know anybody. It wasn't like now where you just get it. So I called a cab service to just like go to the mall. But I figured I'll pay the cab driver $50. He'll tell me where to find some fucking weed here. And the guy drove me to a compound on the north part of the island where this dude who was like 50, but he seemed like a teenager kind of guy. Like he was like a rich kid that was 50, you know, like if you ever meet like Pauly Shore, he seems like Pauly Shore, but he's like in his 50s. And he took a big brick of weed and like sawed it off with an electric thing for me. And he took me on a tour of his compound, and all these like surfers just lived in like tree houses and shit. It looked like cool as hell, like, but more than 5 days in Hawaii, you if you have any ambition to do anything with your life besides collect colorful seashells on the beach and sell them as overpriced jewelry, you want to get out. That's why.
Is it worse than California?
No, because California, I have to be here to do what I do with Kyle, and you know, that's like business reasons mainly for me. I mean, you don't really have to be here so much anymore like it used to be, but if you want to. I have to because of the stuff I'm making. I have to.
But like, if you could do it in Hawaii, or you could do it where you are now, where would you do it?
I felt after, I know other people say this. I'm not the only one who says like 5 days is just the right amount of visit. I was like, oh, I could come back. I could like live here when I'm dead. That's a perfect time to live here, you know. Otherwise, because it seemed like it would become like a beautiful hell. Where
beautiful hell.
Yeah, like your only pleasures in life will be to show new visitors to the island, but also you kind of hate them because you don't want them to fuck up the island, but also you're just desperate because you're in a fucking geological prison, and you get bored. And then they have a big problem with meth all over, like, or ice. That's all the posters, like, don't do ice. Like, it I could totally see, like, oh, I'd probably start doing ice at some point, because what are you gonna do? Like, it's a small, you don't realize, like, that feeling is, I get weird feeling like landlocked because I grew up on the shore, right, in Jersey, but on an island, just living there, I would feel like kind of like there's some kind of feeling that I didn't jive with me. But I could see, if you're old.
You prefer California, yeah?
No, I was in New York. I was living in New York at the time. I just moved to California because I had a job here at the time, and was like, it was easier to move here to be close to the studio. So.
Would you like Vermont? You know, like a nice, more rural place that's slowing things down.
I don't like cold. Yeah, I don't mean mine slow. I don't care about that, but I don't want, because I'm not, you know, I'm 45, and I'm not like, I'm not out. New York is a cool town to live in when you're young, because you drink all night and you know, get into shit, and there's like, it's open all night, you know, even when it's,
and you hear gunshots.
Closed. It wasn't, I mean, now it's probably bad, but when the whole time I was there for the entire time of it, like, being very, I used to live in Philly before that. That's a place where, like, the only place I've ever had a gun pulled on me really was Philly. New York, I lived in every borough except Staten Island. I didn't live in. That's the only, every borough I really never had a problem, because there's a thing there where I'm pretty like just big size dude naturally. So in New York, I wouldn't be the first guy people kind of, when they pick their targets there, or how it was when I was there. Whereas Philly, like, nobody gives a fuck. Like, they don't give a shit. Like, some little dude will pull a gun and do something crazy, and it's like thinking ahead so much less. That's who wins all that shit. Like, you think 5 seconds less ahead, you know. Situation. That's the like, and so Philly's like that all the time. Like, stupid violence. Now, I play Philly all the time and love playing it, and I don't know how it is now, but it's it was very different when I got to New York. New York had a more like, because I also got the impression there were more like neighborhoods I lived in. There was a gang in control, kind of mafia style, depending on where I was. Like, if you lived in the lofts in Bushwick, where they convert like old sweatshops into hipster lofts, that's more dangerous, because that's not an established neighborhood. So you know, when that first started up, I remember, like, it would always be girls going in the subway with their laptops to their graphic job to make that kind of art, and somebody would just deck them in the head and take their laptop. That was
Jesus, that bad?
Yeah,
I mean, I remember. I remember what shocked me recently in the news. Lady Gaga's dog walker got shot, and I was thinking, okay, so this isn't a rich area.
Yeah, that's unusual. That's when you know it's creeping up, when it's out of.
But not only that, it's like they shot him not because they knew he's Lady Gaga's dog walker. They just saw that he has a breed dog, and
they shot him for his breed dog.
Yes.
Wow, really?
Yes, and it was 3 people, and I looked it up. It's like $1,000 maybe you can get for that dog, because you don't have a pedigree. So
dog theft was a thing in New York.
Yes,
definitely.
$1,000 divided by 3. I mean, $300 is what they thought a human life is worth. And to me, as a Romanian, this shocks me. I mean, like, something like this would have been a major national scandal. I mean, everyone would blame the politicians. They would blame the mayor. Like, why aren't you guaranteeing the safety? Why are we paying taxes for? But the way it was described in the newspaper, it was like, oh, okay, well, this happened. And it's like,
yeah, that's I mean, that's because that's how the media is set up. They probably like cool, like it's wild now. They're all PR, dude. So. All the PR is like, everything's good. What? It's going great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was probably during the George. That story is from around when BLM.
No, after it's after they defunded the police, and you know, like,
so that's why. Bad. That's why, because they don't want to be like what they all painted themselves in a corner with that stupid thing. Now, like I said, people came up with that idiotic slogan that was intentional. So good trick, I guess, because these fucking liberals are. My friends of mine are so dumb.
You know what's interesting? It's like, if you actually live in the hood and you live in the ghetto, like, people don't use the word defund. That's more like an academic, like more of a bureaucratic thing. Like, people in the ghetto will say, you know, fuck the pigs, or the down with the cops.
I got a buddy that People say it's like I maybe demilitarize them, maybe reform. I didn't hear anybody that I know. I live in a lot of
Defund, yeah,
parts.
like that is.
No one said shit like that. They said, could they stop doing abusive things?
Yeah,
in various ways. The fuck the pigs thing. I never even heard someone say that in all the time in New York who was not white. I've only heard a white person even use 60s.
Yeah, but it's something that's used. I mean, you can imagine someone in the hood using that, but they wouldn't say defund the police. I mean, the word defund.
That's a suspicious. It's almost like you Latinx, which doesn't make grammatical sense in Spanish. Like, I'm probably
Latinx, yes, and Italians. I saw it.
It's
recently.
supposed to be like exatin or something. Like there's I can't remember how it works, but that's the proper way. Putting an X on it is like if you speak. The people who do this, I think, don't speak Spanish, and that's why they're
no. I mean, in Spain, in Spanish, it's just like Romanian. It's a Latin language, so everything is gendered. Like the table has a gender, the door has a gender, and. Right. Yeah, what they want to do is they want to abolish the concept of gender, but you can't do this in a Latin language. It's impossible. So you have Latina and Latino. And what they want to do is they want to use the letter X, which is like an unknown, right? Because you have like in mathematics, like the X equation and one.
Yeah, right.
So they use Latinx. But the thing is, like most people who aren't astroturfer and are part of the Latina community, they despise it. They view it as a slur.
Well,
it's like over
I still do use the term Mexicans.
Mexican, yeah, Mexican.
I was happy to start saying Mexicans. Okay, so what? Oh, okay. This is why I asked you because I got the video from it. So, and I didn't look up this girl's name to. Let me just get her name because I don't want to just play this clip of her and not say your fucking channel that I got it from. Right? That's not good YouTube. This might say mainly a podcast, and I don't know all the YouTubes you're supposed to.
Well, that's okay because you know a lot of Hollywood celebrities.
Okay, here we go. This is so. Have you seen the A&E Secrets of the Playboy Mansion documentary?
I heard about it, but I haven't seen it.
Is there any preview we can find, Mike, of it, like of A&E's, like a promo for it? It's one of the lamest things I've ever seen of exposés. Like, what do you think the big secret was going to be? Was it that, you know,
people are fucking and they're having weird fetishes?
These girls moved into this famous pimp's fuck house and he treated them like common whores. Can you believe that? Just
no.
He goes, there was revenge porn. I go, what did he put you in a news magazine?
Well, you know, there was the Harvey Weinstein thing, and they kept saying, so I woke up in Harvey's couch, and how the fuck did that happen? How do you wake up on the man's couch? Why did I never wake up on Harvey Weinstein's couch?
Oh, not saying they had been drugged or something, saying they felt...
No, they woke up, right? So it's like, oh, I woke up, and that's how they were talking about it. And I'm like, how does that happen?
That dude, here's what's really sick about all that, because that shit didn't help. That Me Too shit didn't help anybody. So much bad shit happens to people. And it's like, you know, people take their picks if they believe like it's like women or children, but everything you can imagine goes on. And they're never going to address the reason for it, which is people are craven fucking amoral careerists all over the place.
But did you notice that the Me Too movement hit the progressives the most? I mean, it didn't hit like right wingers and conservatives. And
yeah, of course I noticed that. Well, of course, but that's because I mean, it stopped. It's over now because when it got to Biden, that's when the thing was over.
When it got to Biden.
Seriously, I don't know who the fuck could even try to say Me Too like after that Biden thing. Like,
one second. Is there any lewdness in the video? Like, are we going to see any sex toys or anything like that?
I mean, it's the A&E
it's
channel.
the trailer, yeah. So I doubt that they have just girl, yeah.
I don't think they can show that on.
If they do, that's awesome.
What most of this stuff is to push people out to make room. Okay,
that's the Me Too. Yeah, exactly.
Another big strain of why this horseshit spreads around is all these kids went to college. Statistically, you're going to do better if you go to college. Well, it turns out it wasn't sustainable because they got all the old people still have their fucking jobs. So it ain't like Spain where they're fucked. Here they're like, we got to cook up some things to run people. And that's what they did. All right, press play.
A Playboy that nobody wants to talk about. In the First Amendment. And he really did believe he owned these women.
There's some things that never saw the light of day.
I didn't realize that getting into the Playboy world was a dangerous choice.
Oh yeah, that holy shit.
No.
That's why you're in the street smoking crack now, because you had you were the abused kind of hooker.
Doesn't she have a father? Like, if you have a daughter and she's like, I want to get into the Playboy world, like, what are you going to say? Oh, no, that's fine. That's the safest environment.
We'll get to that. All right, press play.
Was a dangerous choice.
He didn't want people to know what was really going on.
I have extensive electronic equipment in the house, which includes videotape equipment. Sometimes things happen in the bedroom.
It was a beautiful world.
He just literally said what's going on. He didn't want people to know. How do you edit this? And he didn't want people to know what's going on. And he's on a broadcast early on saying, I record all this shit. All right, go ahead.
It's really ugly.
When you get someone that powerful, anything could happen. Anything.
I wouldn't trade places with anyone else in the world.
His legacy should comprise the whole story.
The people who are really there, they're the ones who know the real truth.
Okay.
Oh my God.
So I was trying to understand, and if you watch it, just, here's a revelation. Sometimes he'd be there and like 8 girls would take turns getting on him.
No.
Okay, so I'm watching, I'm like, and it reminded me of the Britney Spears thing that came out on Hulu, which was like, how was everybody so mean to Britney? Oh my God, the patriarchy must have done this to her. And all of them, it's like, I'm assuming it's because people are young, but I don't know how their memory is this fucking short if they remember Britney Spears. It was cool to be mean to her because she said, support President George W. Bush. And
I don't know that. I did not know that.
That's when it all turned. And then that's when Sarah made the joke. She's done everything she's going to do. And
so that's when she was considered crazy and insane and placed under tutelage.
Well, also, she was crazy and insane. She was being driven in, like, that was analog what the media does now. Like, they don't need to send some, and then they interview the guys, and they're like these like scuzzbag looking dudes that's their job, is to try to get a upskirt of a famous person for 30 years in Hollywood. That's Hollywood for the last goddamn, as long as it's been around. So that's old. Now there's automation where they could do it with Twitter and whatever.
Yeah.
Like fucking Tim Dillon said that about Ghislaine Maxwell. Like, her job was lost by automation.
Oh, snap.
So that's like, so there's the new generation of ethical journalists going, what was that about? And it's so ridiculous watching them. And then so anyway, that's what this reminds me of, is that where it's like, oh, this is for that new generation of people that like have internalized every bullshit thing and literally don't remember any of it. Like, I'm old to remember any of this stuff, I guess. But so I found this girl, let me say her name again, because I was just looking up somebody. I want to see like somebody young, what they say about it,
Well, most people that are young weren't following politics back then. I mean, they knew who Britney Spears was, but I don't think they knew about her political, opinions. And not only that, like, when someone had a political opinion, it wasn't as popular as today, like popularized in the media and the press.
Yeah, Britney Spears will tell you. There is a thing to it of, I had no idea I was being exploited, basically, is what Holly's saying. Now, I don't believe her that she didn't know she's like that. You've been around too long. And this is like what did you get? Every last part of hanging out in a pimp house, and it's dawning on you that it wasn't the most dignified profession that you had. Like, there's something, just from what I know, being around reality shows and reality show people and just all the fucking people.
Is it
that
scripted?
shit's cynical. It's like, no, it's just them telling their story. It's all like, it's just like, so you'd have to be young to be like, oh my God. So I didn't understand how anybody could look at that. So this is what this girl's name is, Natalia Taylor. Okay.
Never heard about her, but okay.
I know she has more views than I'll ever get on this platform. Okay. So, but whatever. You could see.
Wait, you need to try makeup. Like that's the secret. You put makeup on.
Man, you still got to be good looking and on top of the makeup.
No, it's like that's why you have makeup. It makes you look good.
I mean, okay, so now I don't know this girl. I assume she's from California or something. Like, she seems like a hot rich girl that.
Does she have the accent? And does she ask? Does she finishes the question, the sentence like a question?
I didn't think about
to the final life stage, or the last one I'm going to talk about, of the Playboy brand.
I nailed it.
The mansion, the glitz, the glamour of Hollywood. I feel like this is more my generation. When I grew up in the 90s and early 2000s, we can all remember a time when we watched the show Girls Next Door, about the girls that lived in the mansion, and their life seemed like a beautiful Hollywood dream. You know, they got to dress up every single
television,
cutest outfits, and they basically lived in a sorority house with Hugh Hefner, and he was this good guy that took care of them. And for some reason, that like was a fantasy that everyone wanted to achieve. And like, looking back, why were we buying into that? That was like kind of creepy that people wanted to like live there because he was there. But anyways, it was not painted like creepy at all in our childhoods. It was painted like a glamorized dream. Like, you should want to be this type of girl. They don't have to do a single thing other than look pretty, be blonde, have a big chest. And that's what we wanted. We all wanted to be that for some reason. And the Playboy Mansion had a lot to do with that. So Hugh Hefner's clubs had established that his parties were ones to remember. They were always noted as having the most beautiful women.
Okay, so
oh my God.
So and here's what, like, it's interesting, like, she goes, in our childhoods, and I'm like, your childhoods? So that show was on. I wasn't a child when that was on. It was on E, right? The Hugh.
Well, she's younger, I guess.
Right. So that means as a little girl, they were watching not
Playboy
the 70s, the 70s thing where I'm like, yeah, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, the guy, you could see the guy's like, yeah, I fuck all these chicks and I recorded my big mansion and, you know, like, it got rebranded around the time as Ozzy Osbourne with the fucking Osbournes. So I started a trend, you know, of like these fucked up people, and let's check that. And so that was what that was part of. And reality shows, they're not as popular now. Like, people hate reality, but they're very, they're the most exploitive fucking thing. Basically, the reason they loved making so many of them was you don't have to pay a writer, you know? So the producer, it's like, oh, I write it. And a lot of shit's written. Now, I have a friend that does it who's like scrupulous about it. He's not like, he's like because there's a certain degrees of backstage wrestling manipulation at all of them, because just to get shots and stuff. So they made this shit look like it was like cool. So if she's a kid watching, she's like, oh, you just live with an old man.
Where are her parents? Where are her parents during all of this? I mean,
that's the interesting thing, because that chick came from some. Now she's Christian now, by the way. Do you know that she became?
No, I had no idea.
Yeah, because I looked at, because I was curious. Because that's what I said. Well, like, she has to be some rich, like one of those unsupervised rich kids or something, because the way she talks and, like, you know, the bedroom she's in. And I know a million of them people. Like, that's what that show Euphoria is on HBO. Did you ever see that?
No, I don't watch.
It's like
cable.
Peter Parker's girlfriend's in it, and she's like a drug addict. And it's all these hot kids in LA doing drugs and fucking.
you know what's the
to
biggest?
Tell you it's bad.
Yeah, like that's exactly the thing. That's what I got from all of this, is that if you put something on TV, like go jump in a well, there's going to be people like that jump in the well.
You ever see Requiem for a Dream?
Yes.
Okay, so because Euphoria is like, I know why it's like appalling and it's causing those numbers, because it's very beautifully shot, really like kind of soap opera, dramatic, nothing, and just lots of kids doing drugs, and it 100% romanticizes it. Okay, in the way Miami Vice romanticized being a cop with an alligator on a boat. It's like,
really, it's not that cool.
It's very cool. It's like the whole thing looks very cool. Requiem for a Dream, same, but these are people who are going to go on to big careers that shot this, because it's shot. You're like, wow, somebody. So it absolutely draws you in, and it shows like bad stuff. It's not like it doesn't show bad stuff happen to people, but it's still something fucked up about it that I can see how somebody, you know. So Requiem for a Dream shot lots of amazing shots in that same thing. That's the only drug movie I've ever seen that didn't make me want to do drugs. The only one I've ever seen in my life. What
about Breaking Bad?
No, Requiem for a Dream.
No. I mean, Breaking Bad, that also doesn't want to make you do drugs.
Well, I mean, I never did meth, but if you do meth, I mean, blue meth was everybody who did meth. You know, meth's not really blue when you make it pure. Like it's. I had a buddy that used to cook meth he was in a biker gang, and his name was Crank Williams, they called him. And he was explaining to me the entire process of how they do it, and you know.
Right. So he was like an expert disagreeing with the movie. Like he was pointing out that Breaking Bad.
Anybody else who works at a job that knows a little insider shit, that's not really how it goes.
He was pointing out that Breaking Bad is giving you misinformation.
Yeah, and I had a dude in New York, at Stamp, New York. I was making fun, I can't remember. I was calling him like Mario or something. He looked like Super Mario. He had like a wife beater on, and a hat and a mustache like Mario. And I didn't know. I didn't know. Maybe he was Latin. It was hard to tell what type. Like I thought maybe he didn't look really Dominican or Puerto Rican. Anyway, I made some joke. It wasn't any kind of incident or nothing. When I'm outside smoking later, and he came out. And he goes, "Hey, what's up, man?" And he said, "Oh yeah, it's cool. He made fun of me." Like he reassured me it was cool. I made fun of him, and I was like, "What?" And like, and I didn't become a thing, but I was just like, "Well, that's a weird thing to say." Like I know it's okay if I made fun of him on a show. He's a guy from a gang out here. What fucking gang was it? Serenos, they're called.
Oh, I heard about them. Yeah.
Yeah, they have a whole few like so.
They're really big, yeah. The Bloods, the Crips, the Serenos, yeah.
Yeah, and Gangland was a show on History Channel at the time that was the stories of these. It was people who used to be in the gangs, and they would talk like the MS-13 recruits from the something, and they'd started El Salvador, and they played me. So I used to watch all that, and I saw the thing about Sereno. That's where I heard of him from. And the guy's like, "Yeah, but that's not how it goes." Because first of all, a real guy in Serenos is never going to be in that because he'll be killed. Like the guy talked like if you meet a Marine or something after they're out of the Marine, like he talked like a soldier. It's like actually kind of eerie if you meet like gang people that are like into it like that. There's a certain like soldier thing about them, and you can easily see them.
It's hierarchical. It's organized like a military. If they're a big gang like the Serenos or the Bloods, the Crips.
Yeah, but a lot of fucking military guys like goofy shit, like video games and comics and shit. Like how I like, you know what I mean? Like, but they're also are trained killers, you know?
Yeah.
So anyway, he's talking about the people you see that were supposedly in the gangs, and a lot of them are somebody that works in the crew or they get somebody to, because it's like dangerous, I guess, to show the real person. So it's like everything's fake. Like the show Cheaters was fake. I know the guys that worked on that, where a guy got stabbed exposing a cheater, like that was all staged. All of reality was fucking faked. So this is now amazing to me. Like these girls thought it's actually probably good that this girl found YouTube's, you know, because that's like leading you into the fucking dragon's mouth kind of shit that I didn't think about because I have kids and I thought it was for adults or whatever, that dumb show. But that was around the time they started making shit for adults, all cartoonish looking, like more and more,
like South Park and But think about it. Think about it this way. Like, most of the American public don't trust the television. Like the mainstream media, I think it has like 40% approval rating or something like that.
Yeah, I used to trust it.
Yeah, but like now almost everyone says that they don't trust it, but they still do what the television tells them to. Like if the media,
but you got to do science.
Yeah, exactly. It's not just that, but it's like if they were to like the Russian story, you know, about Trump in the first 2 years, it's like Russian. There are Republicans who probably didn't vote for him again because of that.
I don't know.
And they know, like, the mainstream media lies.
He lost his fucking, like, you know, unfortunately, like all the big talk or whatever, they're going, oh, maybe he will, like, clear some. And maybe he tried to, because that's why the CIA went in. We went in on him. So the guy that did you see that clip of the guy, because they're trying to start up another fucking war. So.
The Ukraine thing, yeah.
And that guy who was there, and he was like, I just gave you the information. And
I remember, yeah.
Yeah, this stammering idiot. And he resigned from the CIA when Trump was in because he would not serve under Trump, okay? And then, so he retired. That's what it was.
It's hard to serve when
retired.
You get... Yeah.
So his reasons for retiring, not anything like a war crime or a fucking, he found out about some torture or something. No, because Trump removed several senior members from the something committee. Like, you don't go, like, Trump, they're all him. First of all, whatever they don't like about him, invariably, anybody I know out here that's famous and don't like him, like they're like him in so many ways, and they just like cannot see they don't like they thought they were like Obama in the mirror or something, but they're all Trump. So it's really upsetting them because they fucking hate themselves. Is why they
I see. Yeah. By the way, regarding Ukraine, like I see a lot of Americans, even Tucker Carlson, like doesn't understand why America goes in Ukraine. And
okay, I want to play that clip right now. That's what I was setting up. So Mike, that other clip, the one of Jim Acosta. So this is why people, I'm guessing, if I had to guess why people don't trust the news, aside from all the trying to get Joe Rogan for no fucking reason, other than censorship.
Yeah, exactly. It has nothing to do with the pandemic. Yeah.
Okay, so here we go. So I wouldn't believe pause. If I didn't watch this, I wouldn't believe someone who told me that this was what was on. I would not believe them if I didn't watch it personally. It's so insane. Okay, go ahead and play it.
Aware of the nickname I've given the network. It's the bullshit factory. But maybe it should be the Bolshevik factory, as in the the communists who helped form the Soviet Union, judging by how the network allows one of its most popular hosts to spew pro-Putin propaganda.
Why is it disloyal to side with Russia, but loyal to side with Ukraine? They're both foreign countries that don't care anything about the United States. Kind of strange. Imagine if Mexico fell under the direct military control of China. We would see that as a threat, of course. There'd be no reason for that. Well, that's how Russia views NATO control of Ukraine, and why wouldn't they? We don't get anything out of pushing Ukraine into NATO, so why are we doing this?
Press pause.
You should hear how comrade...
Wait, okay. Shit.
You should hear how Comrade Tucker sounds when he's translated into Russian, as in Russian state television. There it is right there. They're eating it up like a bowl full of borscht, pointing to what he's been saying for months. Apparently, same goes for the reaction for viewers of Trump State TV, and that is Fox, of course. Democratic Congressman Tom Malinowski closed his office.
Go back.
Why?
Look behind Tucker, right? Oh, hold on. Go forward. Back to the Tucker thing so we have Joe Biden behind. Why is it saying that Joe Biden is with the Russians? Because he's on Russian television next to Tucker Carlson.
Well, but he's not. He's saying we're gonna start a war or whatever. So it's okay.
It's okay. It's okay.
Look, as you can see from the picture, the Russians don't like what Biden's saying because his face looks mad, and they like what Tucker's saying. So they took. That's what they do. They freeze frame. If they like you, they pick.
Yeah.
That's how you know they like it. I like it too, though. I don't understand. I don't understand why I give a shit about any of this at all, or why after we just fucking lost. I mean, everyone was there, right? Yeah.
Look, they have the American symbol onto the right, the one with the eagle. So clearly the Russians are the American puppets.
Well, I thought maybe they were splitting the eagle to disrespect us extra.
Oh my God, I'm so glad you're here because I wouldn't know these things, right? Like,
yeah, you got to take, these are the subliminal messages. All right, so, okay, press play. This is unbelievable. For the record, I thought Russia was bad because they, like, interfere with the elections. Are you telling me they're communist again? And you're telling me that Tucker fucking Carlson is communist? I mean, like, okay.
Watch Tucker Carlson and are upset that we're not siding with Russia. Tucker has even laughed at the idea that the U.S. would defend Ukraine militarily.
A friend just sent this tweet, quote, having lost in Afghanistan, the graveyard of empires, the regime's next military adventure, invading Russia in winter. Perfect.
Oh, he's got a great laugh, by the way.
I'm not sure why he's laughing.
I'm not sure why he's laughing.
Yeah, I'm not sure why he's laughing. It should be noted that lawmakers from both parties, as well as foreign policy experts, have long said that Putin's chief objective is to reconstitute the Soviet Union. Sound far-fetched? Last December, Reuters reported that Russian state TV had aired some provocative comments from the autocrat, a documentary Russia...
Press fucking pause right there.
In that documentary.
So you see that shit? Because both parties say, yeah, motherfucker, we know. That's why part of the reason people wanted Trump, you stupid fuck. But that's the scary thing. I don't think people get, and they get hung up in right and left. these companies, dude, like they make these deals and they have so much fucking power. Like this is a full court press to be. It's almost how China,
the PR arm of the government.
Like you know how like we've got to run everything efficiently, you know, like and corporate now, and it's almost like two parties is gonna. It's like we're kind of splurging, giving you two parties, frankly, and you're not, you know, that's the fucking attitude. Like China has slimmed it down to just one party for everyone, and they cut some of the bullshit puppet theatrics. I'm sure they have their own within their own fucking thing, but
yeah.
All these fucking big, you read these articles in like The Economist and shit where they're like, yeah, we need to look to a China model. These are like real things people say.
Yeah.
And they're saying it because, oh, well, how do you surveil everyone? We can't even get these vax fucking passports without truckers going. It's really creepy. Like, look at this blank. Look at his fucking eyes. All right,
well, he's reading the prompter.
Oh, that's
or he's searching for
no, that's what it is.
Lamented the collapse of the Soviet Union, saying it was a disintegration of historical Russia under the name of the Soviet Union. We turned into a completely different country, and what had been built up over 1,000 years was largely lost. Yet for months, during the escalating tensions between Russia and Ukraine, Tucker has been questioning why the U.S. doesn't side with the Kremlin.
But why would we take Ukraine's side and not Russia's side? It's a sincere question. If you're looking from the American perspective, no, but why? I mean, who's got the energy reserves? Who's the major player in world affairs? Who's the potential counterbalance against China, which is the actual threat? Why would we take Ukraine's side? Why wouldn't we on Russia's side? I'm totally confused.
Well, clearly, Ukraine is a democracy. Russia is an authoritarian. Its will upon a validly elected democracy in Ukraine, and we're on the side of democracy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm guessing for democracy in other countries, I guess.
That was Ohio Republican Congressman Mike Turner taking Tucker to school.
You know what's scary is that the American politicians don't even know why the U.S. is obligated to help Ukraine.
No, they get a prompter too.
They get a prompter too. Okay.
I mean, you could hear it when the whole reason. If everybody doesn't like a dipshit like Trump, the whole reason he won is because he wasn't like that. He wasn't reading the goddamn script.
Okay, I'll tell you as an Eastern European why America is bound to help Ukraine and not Russia. After the Soviet Union fell, Ukraine was the second nuclear superpower in the world. And both America and Russia wanted to denuclearize Ukraine. So they signed a treaty promising that they will guarantee Ukraine's territorial integrity if they throw away the nuclear weapons. And Ukraine signed it. So you can now point out that America is obligated through the treaty, which it signed back then, that it's going to provide defense for Ukraine. Now,
dude, let me tell you something. I didn't know, because I knew that what I heard was that James Baker, you know, after Berlin said, we're not going to expand NATO. And then I read debunkings of it where they're like, well, it wasn't in writing. Like, he said it, but it's not a binding.
Well, regarding the NATO thing, it's like the Cuban Missile Crisis.
Yes, obviously.
You have Russia that wants to put nuclear missiles in Cuba, and Cuba is fine with it. Like, they're okay. And America freaks out, and they say if you down any spy plane that flies over Cuba, it's going to be nuclear war. So Russia then goes like, okay, well, we're going to take the missiles out of Cuba, and you guys are going to take the nuclear missiles out of Turkey. And that was how the crisis was averted. And I'm pretty sure this is what they're aiming for now. Like they also want America to come to the table, and they'll be like, okay, you guys do this, we'll do something else. Like this is what it's about, because the Russian people also don't support the long-term war. They're not interested in invading Ukraine.
The fucking president of Ukraine asked Biden to like step it down a bit, which I mean, was accidentally reported here.
So Ukraine is pretty big, and while they're not going to stand against the Russians, there's almost no way that you're going to have Russians in the capital of Ukraine sacking Kiev. Like that is madness. Right. If Russia goes in, yes, they will take a big chunk of Ukraine, but they're not going to be able to take the entire country within a year. I mean, there's going to be...
Because only half of them is into it, right? Is that the deal? Like one half's more... I mean, is it even break up?
Yeah. I mean, there are a lot of ethnic Russians over there, and there are people that are pro-Russia, more close to Donetsk. But as you go into the Ukraine and you go closer to Kiev, I mean, you would have resistance fighter. It would be crippling for Russia economically to even attempt holding Ukraine.
You know, I think over here when I meet, because I know I met Ukrainians, especially in Canada. I don't know why, and they had some whole thing of taking drinks where you have to say you're not a Russian traitor and shit like that. And also if I talk to people about who are from Venezuela that I've met, they're always like it's funny, you meet people here that that's why I'm interested in knowing what it's like specifically there, because people you meet here tend to be like came here because they're like, fuck my fucking gun, you know, like maybe they have family in it, but they're like yeah, they ruined it, so I moved, you know. And it's almost stronger feelings about the shit or the country where they don't live than the people that are in the country.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I mean, it's kind of also interesting that there was a press article which came out, I think, 2 years ago, and then it disappeared. That there's over, like, what was it, 2,000 Chinese spies infiltrated in the American government. Like they knew about.
I know.
You'd think that would be a big issue. Like
you think it'd be pretty easy to catch them. Just look for the Chinese guy. Am I right? They would. Yeah. That. But China's even more. Like there's a whole weakness in the way the whole university, I guess all the sciences work, all the technology things, I guess the way they're funded is fucked up. And so that's how they get people, like they pay, you heard about some guy getting arrested smuggling something like a virus out to China.
Oh yeah, from Canada, I think it was.
Yeah, that's at a bunch of universities. I've seen, I've been in China and I've seen, I'm trying to get this other guy on that has a chain. He used to live in China. What the fuck is his name? But it's it was an interesting place. And when I see the TikTok, you can find TikTok Chinese propaganda that they made for America, and it's like hilarious. Like it's when you watch them, like, is propaganda from another country work that well? Because what this CIA guy was telling us on Jimmy's show, that the propaganda law used to just apply to what we were broadcasting to Cuba and like the Soviets, right? Mm-hmm. And we still broadcast at Cuba, and they mostly just like baseball, so they just broadcast baseball to them. They like the shit where you talk about stuff from a foreign country, they don't listen to that. So it was going to be illegal for the company to keep broadcasting. So that's supposedly why they changed the propaganda law. It was just a thing for this one thing, which now it's like way worse. But honest to God, if you had to like guess, have you been in Ukraine? Like if you had to guess like what the...
No, but I know a little bit about Ukraine. I mean, it's the neighboring country to Romania.
So do you think that there's like like a majority that don't want Soviet, and it's just a very highly concentrated?
I mean, considering the fact that the Soviets brought them the gifts of the Holodomor, which was a man-made artificial famine where they starved to death, and those people, I mean, some of them are still alive and they remember. Yeah, they don't like the Russians, especially when you go towards the capital. But you know, towards Donetsk and Crimea, you may find a couple more people that are pro-Russian.
I thought Crimea was like, that was what basically how Crimea was mostly. Was it not like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fucking wild. To say the communist thing, like
no, I mean Russia is not communist. I mean the progressive woke ideology is closer to communism than Russia.
Well, you know why they like it? Because they're not really into communism. They're into like just power, and so that's why the BLM lady is Marxist trained in a fucking mansion now. Yeah, because that's the like.
But you know, like regarding this whole thing with Ukraine, I don't think there's any situation where you'll have like American boots on the ground in Ukraine. And I think it's mostly because of Taiwan. Like right now, America is really interested in defending Taiwan because 90% of the chips of the world are made in Taiwan. It's kind of like, imagine if in World War II, 90% of the steam engines would be made in Poland. It's kind of like that, like, and the world trade that goes through Taiwan. I mean, if America would allow Taiwan to be retaken by China, you would probably stop seeing America as a superpower.
Yeah, right. Probably. I mean, it seems like a more important strategic thing. I can't find fault with what Tucker Carlson said. I don't like his fucking giggle. But you know,
yeah, they're legitimate questions. Yeah, they're normal questions that people should ask. I mean, maybe people don't.
Yeah. I just didn't take what he said to be, I want the U.S. They said we lost a lot of stuff in the country's fucked up ever since we weren't the USSR. I didn't take that as he wants the USSR.
No.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't see how that's not. It's very bizarre to watch like the side switch like that, where they're like, now we're calling you communists on the. It's just so crazy. Like I just heard this game for like the last 20 fucking years, and then they just like switched it to
now it's Nazi.
It.
Now it's Nazi. But it's funny because McCarthy is the one that brought the Red Scare. And when the KGB unsealed its files, McCarthy was wrong because it wasn't a couple of communists in the US government. It was thousands of them. Right. So like McCarthy was wrong because he lowballed it.
Yeah. But the bottom line is, I don't want... Well, they also did the dumb shit of like, that makes it even worse when you're doing it with people that aren't really involved in anything. And you're just like, well, have you ever been affiliate? Like, that's not like, it's just how now it's that they use the same fucking thing now. I'm sure there's always lots of agents and all shit like that, but then it's always an opportunity to be like, but somebody can't talk. You better keep your trap shut. And like you're in war. So now we got to do it like we're at war now all the time. That's the rules. And whenever I ask somebody about, like I'm sure somebody's gonna watch it. Somebody tweeted this at me actually recently where I was like, what a weird, I'm pretty sure it was a guy that tweeted at me. He goes, all the wrong people, what do you say? All the wrong people like you now.
Oh.
What do you think that means?
Well, it's not the prestigious people that do the speech and then you don't care about their actions.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
First of all, I couldn't believe it wasn't a 12-year-old girl that said this to me at a lunch table. But that's what, there's a reason everything's reduced to that. And that's like programming. Everything's like a kiddie fucking thing. And like, you know, aesthetics. It's always like, and that's what that Playboy thing was.
Mm-hmm.
That reality show. That was aesthetics. And there's like, it's not, I don't think it's this one long project by one thing, but I think a bunch of people are closely studying that all the time to have people on an emotional programmed routine. And so you could just hit the right button emotionally, and then stuff that makes like that guy, Jim Acosta. I mean, I know you just pointed out he was just reading. I didn't think of that. I was like, is he stupid?
It's a prompter. Yeah, it's a prompter.
But what's creepy is like regular people are like reading a teleprompter. When you talk to them, like the circles that you go and talk to somebody, I'm like, what? And it's like a hypnotic fucking thing. It is. And
did you watch any Senate hearings where they usually like talk about that issue? Like I actually watched the raw footage, not through cable.
No, I don't understand what they do with those hearings.
Okay, I'll tell you. I mean, it shocked me. This is not normal, by the way. So you'd have like a Republican, and let's say any controversy like CRT, right? And you have the Republican, and he goes and he takes the podium and he says like, the reason CRT is bad is X, Y, and Z. Like here's the books that we disagree with, and here's why, blah blah blah. And then a Democrat comes on and he goes like, Republicans have never showed any evidence of CRT being bad and blah blah. And it's like, but like recently, the guy in front of you with 5 seconds before he showed you, like, can you at least tackle the subject? And the answer is they don't even talk to each other. Like they just go there, they read the script that probably was written for them by their aides, and they don't. They pretend like no one else exists, and it's like two parties that completely talk past each other. They don't even engage with
it's
conversation.
Like a play. It's a fucking play.
Yes, exactly. And I think it's all for clips for the media. Like we live in the 10 seconds clip. And you show like, look, AOC had the stunning speech, 10 seconds. Here's what she said.
Yeah, I've seen The Undertaker have more compelling speeches, confrontations with Kane in the better orations. And it's so fucking crazy. Like the amount of casting and all that. So I don't know how people don't know that. Like it seems to like be like, it's not like They Live. If you ever saw They Live, because, you don't need like sunglasses. Like they just write the shit openly. Like don't do research. They just say that. That was in Forbes, dude. That's in Forbes.
This is brainwashing.
It's not
for the NPCs, what they call it. They used to call them in France marionette men before our age. And And this is how you brainwash people. It's the same reason why the Soviet Union had the Iron Curtain.
Right.
It's so that people don't know any alternative of what's going on than what you are telling them. It's what Scientology does by naming people, suppressive person, which you are one, right? Because you surround yourself with problematic individuals. Right. So by excluding people like Joe Rogan, by excluding Tucker Carlson, by excluding all of these people from your life, you only get what is being told to you by one source, which speaks with one voice, the corporate press or whatever. And if you don't know any alternative, if no one manages to tell you a different story, then you're going to believe them. People in the Soviet Union didn't know that outside of the Soviet Union, you could have more than one television network, or you could have electricity 24/7. Most interestingly, in North Korea, they claim that the father of Kim Jong-un invented the burrito. And if you're a North Korean,
that's
you're
one
laughing.
of my favorite.
Yeah, you're laughing, but it's sad because if you're in North Korea, you can't fact check that. Like there is no way
right.
that you would know that is false.
Yeah. Well, you know why? Remember when they got mad that Trump went and talked to him? You know why they clutched that so much, the nuclear weapons, and part of the reason that it'll never. Somebody just told me this, and I like. It's really funny because of they so happened to Gaddafi. Because Gaddafi, do you remember I remember this vividly. He was like he was like pretty cool for a hot minute. Everybody's like, oh, he's really a good guy, Gaddafi, for like not that long. It wasn't that long, but he was like one of the good. And I saw it on the news, the regular news. You're supposed
to
watch.
The good dictators, yeah.
That now he's our pal, kind of. Okay, he's trying to help, and he's against this terror that happened on 9/11. Some shit like that. And then next thing I know, he's got a stick shoved up his ass. And that was right around when he was going to go off the petrodollar and all that shit.
Yeah.
So
he wanted a Pan-African Union.
Yeah, like these fucking maniac dictatorships, like they see that. They know what's going to happen to them. You know, like, oh, his people, it ain't going to be his people that turn on him. They're fucking like, I mean, I don't even know how you would even go in and try to do anything about it. Because you have probably a bunch of people don't know anything that don't want you there. And probably what they do know is like the shit we've actually done. They probably do tell them that part.
Yeah.
And so that's this thing of like, we're going to globally control the fucking narrative is like this is the shit that I would be, like a crazy born again friend would tell me about the fucking beast and shit like that. Like,
but it's not even that. Like there is the World Economic Forum, and you have Klaus Schwab, who is surrounded by all the world leaders and all the most influential businessmen. And this is live; it's recorded. It's to the public. Like it's not a conspiracy. And he's like,
right,
yeah, well,
that's right.
welcome.
It's not. They live. You can see it. You could go watch what he's saying. But
and he says, but hold on, let me tell you what he says. He says, I am glad that we are here, friends. We are going to imagine the future. And to imagine the future, we have to set the narrative. And I'm like, motherfucker, like they know that if you call it out, if you actually say it, they will say, oh, you're a conspiracy theorist. Even if there's video footage of it. Well,
it's just the fucking, well, you know, I try to think of why people would like, even because some people are smarter that rationalize that. And if you ever read about Klaus Schwab, he's like some dickhead that he like, it's basically, this is his big thing to his ego is to throw this fucking Davos thing. And most of the fucking billionaires don't even go to those. Like a few of them maybe go, but mostly they're just banging whores and doing coke and shit. And, you know, when they had Greta Thunberg there, I was like, what is that? Like, did they invite her there so they could like jerk off while she scolds them? Like, that's probably how they come, you know?
Well, yeah, like there was this thing with Greta Thunberg. It's like, how dare you? Like, you ruined my childhood. And everyone's like, and I'm like,
yeah, they're like, hit us.
Like, you're supposed to be upset that
it was
happened.
Like S&M for them. That's what they're like, yes. That's what they're like, oh, we are the worst. Tell us.
Yes, exactly. But you can see it on her face. Like she's shocked. She didn't expect that, right? Like when you insult someone, they usually get offended or upset. But they were clapping at her, and she was probably taken aback. It's like, why are they clapping? I just asked them how dare they.
Yeah, she's like fucking got something wrong with her too, and not with sensory information. So she's not going to be able to get a read on the crowd.
Well, that's weird. Yeah. I wouldn't get a weird on the crowd if I was there. and I'm just.
I didn't realize because I gotta go. I have to go do Kyle's thing, and we were talking, and we went long. But
yeah, time
good talking to you, dude. Thanks for coming on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me. My chat also loved you, so I'll remove the stream from my chat, and people who are listening can follow you. Just give me a link to your podcast, and I'll upload it on my channel.
Yeah, and you got anything to promote besides Romanian TVee?
Yeah, it's the YouTube channel Romanian TVee. If you want some funny news, you can find a lot of videos there.
Yeah, that polyamory thing was it was like a fun puzzle. Like I was in an escape room.
It's trying to figure it out. Yeah.
All right, so that's the show. I'm gonna be in at Brea Improv on February 12th. So for one night, so come see me. And then I'm going to be at Uncle Vinny's in Point Pleasant in March. Go to kurtmetzgercomedy.com. You can get all my dates. Kyle Dunnigan channel. Every Thursday we go do a live show. And we're making another Fresh Prez also. It's fucking crazy to try to do these at the same time. And then Jimmy Dore show you can catch me on most of the time. All right, that's the show.
Because I can't get right. Because I can't get